Rohan, I want to come back to the 13th because Dayan Jayatilaka is, as you know, a strong advocate of the 13th, and fundamentally his argument is, just as you said with the 17th, that it is what is in the Constitution. Flawed as it may be, its non-implementation is a non-starter. It's moot because it is what is in the Constitution. I know you have very different ideas and opinions about the 13th, but what of that argument that the 13th and the 17th are what is in the Constitution? You can certainly debate and talk about it and seek to reform it, but its non-implementation is unconstitutional governance.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I support Dayan Jayatilaka's argument to the extent that the 13th Amendment, since it's there, should be fully implemented.
Right.
And the two big sections in the 13th Amendment that are not implemented relate to land, where there is a provision which requires a National Land Commission consisting of people both on the center and the provinces to look after land-related issues, and police. And both those are very reasonable. I mean, there'll be a provincial police division, all serious crimes will be covered by the center. I'm sure even people who are nervous about devolution of power will not have any problem because the interests of the center are really looked after. So implement those first. But the problem, Sanjana, is that the 13th Amendment is part of a constitution which has such a strong presidential system that the presidency can undermine the 13th Amendment, as indeed the presidency has undermined the 17th Amendment. Sure. Yeah. And I'd like to stress how important it is that we don't lose sight of the argument and the strong case for the abolition of the executive presidency. Mahinda Chintanaya 1 promised to abolish the executive presidency, and just because he won re-election, I don't think that that means that the people of Sri Lanka don't want the presidency to be abolished. But I'd just like to make a couple of points on that. Our presidential system vests so much power in the president that other democratic institutions are undermined.
Yeah.
I mean, I often tell my students that Presidents Obama and Sarkozy will be quite envious of some of the powers that the President of Sri Lanka has under the Sri Lankan Constitution. Obama and Sarkozy can't dissolve their respective parliaments. Obama and Sarkozy cannot appoint themselves as ministers of finance, which undermines all first principles of parliamentary democracy. Obama and Sarkozy don't have the kind of immunity that the president of Sri Lanka has, so that he can indeed even violate the constitution. So I do think we need to focus on that. There are parties who are part of the government who have always been opposed to the presidential system. The LSSP, the CP, the JVP has always been opposed to the presidential system. The UNP, I'm happy to say, is a recent convert. I think we really need to keep that issue alive, because if you look at the dilemma that many of the voters faced before 26th of January 2010, it was partly because they knew that whoever they voted for, once that person was elected, the people would have absolutely no power and no control over that person. And that's why it was such a horrible choice, Rajapaksa or Fonseca. And people agonized over it. It was the system that created a problem for the voters of Sri Lanka.
In terms of interpreting the electoral results, I mean, the president has won. The contestations, these of course will occur and should occur in a democracy, but I mean, it is a given. He is there now for 7 years more. In terms of how to work with this presidency, to see that which you expressed come about, what are the modes of engagement, given, as you said, the public doesn't really have a voice in this?
Well, I would hope that the people who supported Rajapaksa, but the people who are a little bit more objective, who are more aware of some of the challenges facing this country. I refer to some of the people within the cabinet, within Rajapaksa's own party. We had most of our vice chancellors in a very controversial move endorsing Rajapaksa, some of them whom I know who are a little bit more independent in their thinking. I think they have got to now say, look, there are a couple of issues here that are vital. The rule of law, the supremacy of the Constitution, the 17th Amendment, the need to focus on a political solution to Sri Lanka's ethnic conflict, the abolition or at least the radical reform of the presidential system. They need to, I think, start engaging with the government, because some of the people who have been more critical are viewed as hostile. I think there needs to be a partnership. People who are more objective, as I said, who supported Rajapaksa, people in the opposition, academia, civil society, religious leaders. We need to come together and try to, distinguish between the political and the real issues facing the country, citizens' rights, issues of citizenship, as you said, and try to engage with the present government.
And very briefly, we're running out of time, but in that process, reciprocity, you think, is something that you're hopeful about? Reciprocity from
Well, I
government
would
and
hope
the
so.
president?
I mean, I would have thought that President Rajapaksa, re-elected, that he should be magnanimous in his victory. Early indications have been a little bit disappointing, but one would hope that in the next couple of weeks, and especially in the run-up to a parliamentary election, that he will do this and start engaging with people whom he considers to be his critics.
Rohan, thanks very much for joining us.